So thank you to David, and it really is brilliant to be here today on what is a historic occasion. This is a world first. First time the British government is being held to account. It's been asked, has it done enough to research and understand the risks and dangers that intensive animal farming cause to human beings? Has it done enough to protect and safeguard UK citizens? And of course, today, for those involved, for Jane Tredget, for David, for Dr. Alice Brough and the small humane being team, today marks the culmination of 2 years of hard work, 2 years of campaigning, and also 2 years of crowdfunding to get to today, to be able to have a hearing. And what was a small group of people has now become a very large movement of people, all supporting, all putting in their donations to get to today. And why would people do that if they weren't anything other than immensely concerned about the dangers that animal farming poses to humans, to people, and to the environment and animals? Now, this case today, it focuses on how intensive animal farming harms people. And hundreds of pages of evidence have been submitted on how intensive animal farming is now widely regarded as a ticking time bomb for human health. Evidence that talks about how vast numbers of animal populations are being kept together, animals that are genetically similar, kept together in cramped, confined conditions, often in sanitary conditions. Those kind of conditions where disease spreading are optimal, the spread of disease is rife. And we know that's happening, farmers know that's happening, government knows that's happening. And so what we decided to do to mitigate against that is to give antibiotics, to administer them en masse to thousands, millions of animal populations here in the UK. And what we're doing when we do that is creating a second problem, what's been called the second pandemic, the silent pandemic, the pandemic of antimicrobial resistance. And it's those facts that we want to be talked about today, not just in the court, but out in the streets, in the media, because far too little attention has been paid to this issue. You know, it's easy to say that we have vast animal populations, but I sometimes wonder if the public, if government, if decision makers really have any sense of how vast those animal populations are. Because of course here we are in the UK, we have a human population of 68 million people, but we have a farmed animal population of over 200 million. In fact, on a yearly basis, we're raising and killing over 1 billion animals. So for every person walking along the street here today, really what we need to do is imagine 3 or 4 farmed animals walking alongside, next to them. That is the extent of the problem we really have today. So we have these epic confined herds, and we're giving them antibiotics. And only last week, a report led by researchers at the University of Washington, it told us that 1.2 million people died in 2019 from infections caused by bacteria already resistant to antibiotics. And the World Health Organization is already warning that by 2050, up to 10 million people per year could die due to antimicrobial resistance. Now, we're all already living into our 3rd year of a zoonotic pandemic, the coronavirus. And that should have served as a wake-up call, shouldn't it? Today, we've already seen 5.6 million deaths caused by this zoonotic pandemic. That should have served as a wake-up call. The next pandemic could well be just around the corner, and the effects could be even more devastating. We've already seen, for example, as David said, this winter alone, 79 outbreaks of avian flu. The next pandemic could well be just around the corner. What are the government doing? Many of us believe that if you look at the actions of government, you would never know that we were in the middle of a zoonotic pandemic, and you'd never know that the next pandemic could just be around the corner. A growing number of us now, the people here today, but also the people at home, the people who supported this campaign, they want DEFRA to conduct a thorough review of the risks that intensive animal farming poses to human health. That review is long overdue. And we want government to use all the levers available to it to lead our society towards a way of feeding ourselves that is sustainable, that is compassionate, and of course, that is safe and healthy. Whatever the outcome of today, we can rest assured that this is not the end. No, this is the beginning, because a touch paper has been lit, and there's like-minded individuals, watchers around the world. Our hope is that this case inspires similar challenges around the world, because the issues highlighted today are issues that happen worldwide, and the threats intensive animal farming poses are worldwide threats, ones that we simply cannot afford. I'd like to end with a quote by microbiologist and clinical virologist Professor Hans Zeyer, who's practicing in the Netherlands. At the Animal Politics World Conference in July last year, held on the topic Saving the Planet with Fork and Knife, he told those gathered, resistant bacteria, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, Q fever, hepatitis E, they all demonstrate to me that intensive animal farming is a continuous source of dangerous, unprecedented outbreaks. I can think of no way to make intensive animal farming safe. I can think of no way to make intensive animal farming safe. They are the words of Professor Hans Zeyer. Let us hope today and in the days ahead that decision makers listen up and act. The era of intensive animal farming must come to an end for all our sakes, and we know it. So what I hope today is that everyone is inspired wherever they're watching, wherever they are in the world. Thank you to everyone here today. Thank you to everyone outside court and those supporting the claimants and the cause. There is a message from the organisers to keep amplifying this message on social media using the hashtag #ScrapFactoryFarming. There is a world to win back, a future to win back, and we are determined to do it. Thank you to everyone here, and I'm now going to hand over to the wonderful Jane Turgett from Humane Being.